Good evening. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Jamestown Public School Board to order. It is Tuesday, April 7th, 2026, 5:30 p.m. in the Thompson Community Room at the middle school. We'd like to thank all those for joining us this evening in the audience. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to note that Board Member Steve Veldkamp is joining us by one of the phones here. We're having some technical difficulties, so he's might be coming in and out until we get the phone working. Moving on in our agenda, under B, conflicts of interest. Are there any other conflicts other those than previously declared? And Dr. Leck?
I did have Steve Veldkamp requested that I share. He is declaring a conflict of interest for item 6B, approval of the support staff wage schedule because his spouse is a paraprofessional.
Any other conflicts other than the ones declared? Okay. If not, school board norms. Jamie, would you be willing to read school board norms?
The board developed norms are to share and respect opinions and speak in a united voice once the decision has been reached, execute all duties of the school board in compliance with North Dakota Century Code, properly prepare for meetings, commit to assessing board effectiveness, and ensure high-quality governance for all stakeholders.
Thank you, Jamie. We have no public communication. Under our consent agenda, is there any item a board member would like something moved out of the consent agenda or clarification? If not, okay. If not, is there a motion? Motion by Jamie. Second by Dan. We have motion and second for approval of the consent agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? If not, assuming roll call vote, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving into our regular meeting, one of my favorite times is to recognize our years of service to Jamestown Public Schools. So as your name is announced, I'm going to have you join me over here. If I give you an item with the wrong year on it, just let me know that I need to give you the correct year. So make sure you look it over and make sure I give you the correct one. And as your name is announced, just come meet me over here, and then we'll have everybody line up behind on the stage area here for a group photo.
All right, with the 5 years, recognizing 5 years of service, Patrick Schlosser, Melissa Carmack, Kendra Payment, Veronica Askew, Denise Wood, Jennifer Hoffer, Gianna Mack, Laurel Holton, Frederica Nicholson, Taylor Peterson, Jordan Schlenker, Jacob Stillwell, Corey Birch, and Robin Stiem.
For 10 years of service to the district, we would like to recognize Adam Gaylor, Sadie Leck, Allison Olson, Jan Hockholter, Tammy Mouth, Lisa Anderson, Rachel Castet, Christine Walls, and Julie Silbernagel.
Celebrating 15 years, we'd like to recognize Juanita Hertz, Bill Nelson, Lynn Fossen, Jolynn Shoemaker, Heidi Flitten, Abby Korpatnicki, Angie Wanzek.
Moving on to our 20-year designees, Kristen Landenberger and Sherry Kopp. And 25 years of service, Ken Gardner, Lori Hare, and Christy Hansen.
Thank you again for all you do for Jamestown Public Schools. We have nothing for correspondence. Under report, the Finance Committee met, and Aaron, would you be willing to share your report?
Yeah, I put together a written report that's included in the agenda. Just as a basic overview, there was a couple of lengthy meetings in February and March where we met, with the focus being primarily to discuss the priorities and strategies on the 2026-2027 budget, and also looking in some of the out years as well. Taking into consideration some of the inputs from the guiding coalition and that. So basically, just as a reminder from the budget priorities, back in July last year, we can task the administration to put together some categorizations on the budget to help us work our way through the details without actually having the board have to get into the details. So we agreed on some general guidelines on what those categories should be. And as a reminder here again, it's the core, so that's essential to the district operations. Priority 1, expenditures that are strategically aligned. Priority 2 are expenditures that enhance the education but yet are scalable. And then priority 3 are expenditures that supplement the value, and again, those are scalable as well. So from that assessment, the administration worked through and we reviewed 15 different individual budget items that could be realized for alignment and budget reductions. And those are going to be considered in the 2026-2027 annual budget that is still in work. And then some of those also carry on into the out years as well. And again, back to the guiding coalition, there's some more strategic items that are being identified that won't be available for this year, but will be possibly targeted for the 2027-2028 years. So one of those significant items there is the structural schedule options that are being considered for the Jamestown Middle School and High School. So that was a major part of our discussion. Another area is the support staff wages, which we'll be voting on and reviewing, as well as the summer school coordinator wage. Kind of went through some options there and put forth a recommendation on that. Again, that's what we'll be voting on here later. And then a lot of our discussion also was held with just the music program specifically. Regarding the staffing and schedules for elementary, for the middle school, for the high school, what our current state is, lessons learned from that, how some of the factors that are affecting the resource allocation, looking at historical data on the program overall, and then also taking inputs from, the community, the administration, music staff, and general staff there. So we did, in our last meeting, we did look at a proposed schedule and resource allocation, and in recognition of some of the challenges that we've had for this year, and also with the inputs that we had received. And basically where we left it off at the last meeting was assigning an action to the administration to collaborate with the music teachers and work towards a consensus on what that schedule could look like as a viable solution. And then that's where it was left off, and so there was that action which was taken. There was some feedback received, and now that's where we're at, is to take that into consideration to determine how we want to do our final determination on the direction that we want to take for the music program. So that's it.
Thank you, Aaron, and I appreciate the written report too, so the board members had time to review it. Any questions about the finance? Like I said, we've had a couple meetings and we'll continue to meet and just trying to align our budget and our strategic plan and looking at our budget challenges as we knew were coming. And so with declining enrollment as well as COVID money no longer available, and there are a lot of different allocations of how some funding, state and federally, have also been allocated to us. So definitely some challenges there. So I appreciate the report. Dan, I'll just see if Dan had anything to add. Otherwise, Jason. Okay, Jason, go ahead.
So the schedule that was presented, was that from the current staff or from admin? That you discussed in the committee meeting?
You looked at multiple schedules, a couple
multiple
different.
schedules. It was primarily from admin, and that's where kind of the genesis of the action item, because we had a lot of input and a lot of different schedules that were coming from all different sides. So that's why Adam got the action to go, okay, let's go try to get at these, get all the inputs we possibly can, and that's kind of where the action item was. And I think those meetings did occur. I'm not sure if all of them are completed yet. I guess that was one of the questions that we did have, and I'll just kind of, if I can have that floor now. One of the questions that we have is, we do have an open rec still open, I believe, we have not decided as a finance committee whether we should close that or not. I think one of the questions is going to be, do we keep that open and continue to search, or do we just make a decision and close that? So I guess that's one of the questions that we didn't feel comfortable as a finance committee making that decision without more board input.
Yep. And I think one of the things that we also looked at is, it wasn't just, we looked at a lot of different schedules, not just music schedules. We looked at a lot of different schedules with qualifications for music. And we are also looking at how we were filling the position from within. There was less need in some areas that had some split music positions, and so we were looking at what kind of FTEs to making sure that we have all the offerings that we want to offer for music, all the ones that we've had been offering, and looking at the staffing that we have available within, because we want to make sure everyone has a full-time contract as well. So that's where we were also looking at those things. And Finance Committee will meet again here in the next few weeks. But I just wanted to make sure the board had an update also as to, we met for probably a few hours. We literally met for several hours looking at historical, looking at potentials for the future. And like I said, it wasn't just music, it was FTEs across several different areas, making sure we had full-time contracts. Steve, did you have anything to add? Okay. Okay, yep. Steve is joining us by phone, so just want to make sure I didn't miss him. Aaron, go ahead.
And just to add, the committee didn't feel like we had enough information, enough rationale to say this is a recommendation that we would pursue or suggest to pursue to put in front of the board. So that's why we assigned the action, and it's still in discussion and to making sure that we can put forth a recommendation that is appropriate for the district. And again, it takes the inputs and considerations from all the stakeholders.
Any other questions from the board or comments? Jason, go ahead. Yep.
We can expect a plan at the next board meeting within a month?
I don't know if we'll, because this and the next board meeting are kind of tight together, but by the May, yes. Yep. And like I said, we spent quite a bit of time making sure that we were able to offer everything that we want to offer. And also, the community felt really strongly about having the continuity and consistency with 6th, 7th, and 8th band, and that is part of the recommendation from administration coming forward, and that is part of the plan for that. So making sure we have that consistency that the community has been asking for, and so that's a big piece of it. But there's some other smaller pieces depending on other FTE needs or shifting with the closure of Washington. That kind of shifted how we're doing some other programming within our elementary also, because some programs were shifted to Gustner and moved to different places. So we're looking at not just music, but across the board FTEs. Any other questions? Aaron, do you have anything else to add? Board members have any questions? Okay. Yep, I just wanted, like I said, I wanted to provide an update for you and the community as well as to, where we're at with this. And we're taking our time and really, making sure that we're able to offer the things we want to offer. Dan?
Yeah, I just want to clarify. So I guess you're guessing that the May meeting is when we make that final decision of whether we close that rec for music or not.
Yeah, I think we'll have a recommendation from the finance. I think there's been some other meetings since the finance has met, and we can get an update at our next finance meeting. And I think we were getting close at the last finance meeting, but there's a few unanswered things that we tasked administration to go back and get more information for us to feel comfortable with it. But I felt really good once we started going through not just music FTEs across the district, and anyone who's with the certifications for that. And really the biggest, like I said, with the closure of Washington School, that takes a half FTE right offline right away. So that's half a position right there. And so just looking at how, and also so our staff isn't the least amount of movement between buildings as well as we can possibly. It was another discussion that we had in finance. We spent some time on that, looking when that movement happens and so forth. So.
Yeah, so there wasn't a strong bit of data whether we keep that position open or not. We still
Yeah.
have more discussions on that. The concern I would have is that by that point, does it make it difficult to hire that late in the game?
Yeah.
So that's the only concern I would have.
And I think when we went through the schedules, it was pretty well laid out. There just were a couple of unknowns that administration was going to finalize after talking with the different programs. And so it seemed like filling from within, we had a lot of the boxes filled, and we were able to accommodate the consistency in that middle school programming. So.
Without burning everybody else out in the
Correct.
process.
Correct.
And
Yes.
replicating
Yes.
the issues
Yep.
that we had this year.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
okay.
And so we also, just like I said, we also looked at those other programs that had less need too. So we want to make sure that we have full-time jobs for full-time equivalents for those positions. So any other questions or discussions? I think you're there. So again, Steve Veldkamp is joining us by phone, but we've had some phone difficulties. So any other questions or comments from? Okay, thank you, Aaron, for providing the written report too. I appreciate that. That way board members could read it in advance, so that was great. Okay, moving on. We have strategic plan progress monitoring. Any questions on the dashboard provided? So, any questions? I'm feeling, I really like how our strategic plan is coming together, and we have regular reporting of it and regular monitoring, and I think it's also been able to help us refine some of the things that we want to accomplish. So thank you. And I believe, Aaron, you kind of created that structure for us, so I thank you. I do like the color coding of it as well. So, under board education, we have student engagement strategies. We have Stephanie Wall and Medora Pringle with us. Please come forward and.
Hey. Get all my supplies ready. All right, hi folks, I'm Stephanie Wall. I'm the instructional coach here at the middle school and at Louis L'Amour.
And I'm Medora Pringle. I'm a social studies teacher in the 6th grade, and then I teach one class of Spanish 1 for 8th grade here at the middle school.
So you guys are just going to get a glimpse of some of the different types of engagement strategies that our middle school teachers use. As I was kind of making through this and getting to talk from the door, I'm thinking about different teachers as I'm making. I'm like, how can I pull up what this teacher does and this teacher does to kind of showcase a bunch of different things that the folks use. So we're going to get started. I hope you're ready to participate and engage with us. All right. First up, we have a classic turn and talk. And a turn and talk is where you can turn and talk with a partner near you. And I know that Steve is via phone, so we can do a group of 3 with Jamie, Owen, and Dan. And then if you guys want to smush, and then you could break off into 2 and 2. Your question today, we'll set about a 1-minute timer, is to talk with your partner. What does engagement mean to you? What's kind of your understanding of it? And we're just turning and talking, so it's not going to be a share out time just yet. We'll have time to share out later on, okay? So I'm going to set a timer, and your job with your group is to turn and talk focused on student engagement and what it means to you.
Well, I was at Gustar for 2 years, but they only paid me as a parent because they weren't Title I.
We got about 10 seconds.
And then I went to Lincoln for 2. And it was about last year. So like only schools I went to.
I'm gonna wrap you guys up. I don't have my little singing bowl where I could ding you back together, but you can imagine ding, and we're gonna come back together. We just popped around just a little bit, and it was neat to hear different. What do you say? Oh. Oh, yeah. Sorry via phone. We could do a recap another time. It was neat to hear folks' different interpretations of engagement and how you can think about it in like homework level and in, is this engaging work that I'm doing? Is it challenging? Is it meaningful to me? And then there was different folks talking about like the connection, like the engagement connection between peers and teachers. So engagement is multifaceted. So that was neat to hear just some background knowledge that you guys already have. Come on, little slideshow. There we go. All right, it would not be the start of a lesson if we did not have our learning targets. So I do have learning targets for you today. And we are doing a choral read. So please stand up. And we are going to read our I can statements aloud. And typically, I'll even have teachers say, clear our voices. We're gonna say this nice and loud. We have 2 goals today. The first one is on like our participation, and the second one is more of like the learning target of like what we're actually learning about engagement. So we're gonna start with the first one. Ready? I can participate in classroom engagement strategies as a learner. The second one, I can describe what student engagement looks and sounds like in a middle school classroom. All right, that's our focus for today. You guys can take a seat. Good job. I won't have you do it again. Sometimes if we don't have everybody, we do it again. So nice job doing it the first time. When I first came to the middle school here, this was the first thing that I learned. Everyone does everything. At first I was like, tell me more, right? Like that seems pretty intense. Everyone does everything. And then I got to learn more about it and how it works at JMS. And what it is at the middle school, we set expectations that our students participate. We do everything together to keep our students engaged. That doesn't mean, right, that everyone's everything looks the same because our learners are all at different levels. Some students may need to verbalize something. Some students may need to write something out, right? So that everything can look different. But the point being that everyone in our school has this expectation to be learning and to be participating together, which is pretty powerful, right? We don't want any sideline sitting in the back learners, let's soak it in, I'm not participating, I'm too cool. No, everyone does everything, and we try to find how we can bring that out in all of the kids. This next part moves into, and it's a little dark, so I apologize, on the left side in the little purple box it says looks like. And then on the right-hand side in the pink box, which the color should have been a lot darker, so I apologize, it says sounds like. So when we set expectations in our room, it's to help that engagement so the students can rise, right, to what we're expecting, and we're setting the stage to be able to function in our classrooms. So typically you'll see we need students sitting up, listening, asking, answering, nodding, note-taking, tracking the teacher. Those are all different ways that teachers can actively tell that a student's with them in learning. And as adults, those are things that, you know, we kind of do naturally, right? We might look at the board, we'll track the person speaking, but those are things we have to teach our students. And then the other side is we get to see what does this sound like. So engagement doesn't sound like students just maybe sitting quietly doing nothing. Maybe they're engaged in their work and typing, and that's what the output that we're going to see from them. But it could be we're looking at our partner talking. We are having that conversation face to face. We're checking our voice level. Because if there's 25 kids in a room, we need to, again, set that expectation of this is the volume I want you speaking at, so that when we have these turn-in talks, think, pair, share, carousel, a whole bunch of fun things, we have those expectations set so they know, what am I supposed to be doing when I'm talking with this person? How is this supposed to look like? What's this supposed to sound like? So everyone can be heard. Anything else you want to add to that one?
Nope, you nailed it.
Okay. That's kind of like the foundation. This is a little recap. So why do we do that? We want kids to rise to these expectations of engagement that we have for them, giving them clear visuals, right? That everyone does everything with the little asterisks at the bottom, that's pretty clear. We review expectations with students either start of the lesson or before we move into some sort of activity. It reinforces learning for everybody, and we can actively see the students doing and participating in the learning. So that's kind of the why. We have an example for you today. Me and Mrs. Pringle are going to model our expectation of this engagement strategy, and then you guys as our learners today are going to be able to participate in what we modeled. Once you kind of do this modeling with any type of engagement strategy with learners, they typically can, at the middle school level, can catch on pretty quickly. You could go over the modeling again if they need more support and reinforcement to follow those directions. So, are you ready? Mm-hmm. We're going to do a question of the day. I am going to go be a student. Medora is going to be a student, and we are going to act out a scenario for you. While we're acting it out, I have some look-fors. I want you to think about us as learners. Are we both participating? Like, if we're in the classroom, given this question, are we both participating? What does it look like when we're going to be working together in a minute? What does it sound like? And then I want you to think about how can you tell that we're engaged? Okay? We're going to get our prompts ready. Thank you for bearing with us. Okay, ready, Medora? Okay, I'm going to be the number one, and she's going to be number two, so I'm an odd person, so I'm going to share first. Okay, the question is, what book am I reading, and why did I choose it? So right now I'm reading Carrie Soto is Back. Oh, do you want, I should give you your note paper,
Sure.
sorry. Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I chose that book because Carrie Soto, the main character of this book, was in another book I was reading, and this author likes to bring in characters from other books. And so that's kind of how I got hooked into wanting to read this book.
Great.
So Medora just jotted some notes about what I said, and then I'm gonna listen to her and take some notes, and then we're gonna share back to you like you didn't just hear us acting it out, okay?
Okay, I am reading The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I love a crime thriller. I love a movie to go with the book, so I can sit back, relax, enjoy it, judge it, critique it. But it keeps me invested and intrigued the whole time. A crime thriller.
Crime thriller, and it's with a movie too?
Mhm.
No, okay, with a movie.
Yep, it has a movie.
Now we're gonna get the chance to share back to our group, so we're modeling what you guys are gonna get to do. So, my partner, Medora, she just is in the middle of reading The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. And she likes to read those types of books because they're crime thrillers and they really keep her interested. She also likes it when a book is paired with a movie because she likes to kind of critique the two of them. So that's why Medora is reading the book she's reading now.
And Stephanie's reading Carrie Soto was Back because she just loves Carrie Soto and the author that brings in all these other characters. So she wants to see this story continue.
So that's an example of what we would call like a paraphrase passport. So I'm listening to Medora, she took down notes, I kind of confirmed with her, and then vice versa before we shared out with the group. So I might have to do some group adjusting, so you might have to bear with me, but then you guys are gonna do it with a different question. Jamie and Owen, you guys are gonna be partners. Dan and Heidi, I'm gonna do a little adjusting. You guys smush and be partners, please. And then Dr. Leck and Christy, can you guys smush together? And then I can't see your name tags, I'm sorry. Jason and what's your name? Melissa, can you guys be partners? And I'll have you two pair up. Perfect. And then we're gonna pass out these. And that might be a little small up there, but if you're a 1 or a 2, odds can go first. And then our evens. Do you want to go one way and I'll go the other? You have your.
Do you want pencils?
I'll have another slide to kind of cue us up, but we're just gonna set the stage. All right, your question is, if you had a theme song that played every time you walked into a room, what would it be and why? So your odd person will go first, and then you'll flip-flop, and then take your little notes, because we're all gonna share out. So we'll go around, we'll probably start with Jamie, and then work our way around, okay? You guys can start.
Quick thought, quick hint. I heard someone talk about touch tunes. Do you have a favorite song on touch tunes? That might be a good choice.
We're for real this time. We got 25 seconds. Just the first page, just the first page.
Got about 10 seconds to wrap it up, if we can.
That was really fun watching you guys answer all of those questions. I saw laughs and smiles and also panics of, oh my gosh, I forgot every single song I've heard. I have to find something. I also had to take a minute to think of a song. So we're gonna start with Jamie, who's gonna share what Owen said, and then Owen will share what Jamie said, and then we'll go around the room, okay?
Bonus points if you sing it.
That's a 4.
Yeah.
So Owen's theme song would be the final countdown by Europe, which we didn't know who sang that. Found that out. This is an anthem song. He pictures himself peacocking around. And people looking and just wondering. So yeah, final countdown.
Oh.
Straight. Jamie is more of a classic rock girly, so she's going for the Allman Brothers classic Soul Shine. So she just wants to set the vibe, you know?
Thank you for sharing. All right.
Okay. Heidi's theme song is Walking on Sunshine because it reflects the fun and just very uplifting.
Dan's is a bridge too far. It's a war movie song with a happy lilt.
Music vocab coming out.
I know.
Good job.
So Christy's theme song is This Girl Is on Fire, and she made that choice because it is her granddaughter's favorite song, and they listen to it a lot, and she feels like it gives them a lot of confidence when they sing it, and it's something very special for her, is to see her granddaughter sing.
So Dr. Leck picked the Rocky theme song because he likes to work very hard and give 100% every day.
Melissa's theme song is I Will Survive. And I think that's fitting for her because I don't know if you guys remember, but she's the reason we meet now at 5:30 instead of 5:15. But no, she's got a lot going on in life, and it's 99% positive, grandkids and career and whatnot. So that is her theme song, I Will Survive.
And Jason's theme song is It's a Wonderful World. And he chose this because he said he doesn't always succeed in everything, but he tries to find the positive in everything and tries to reflect on what the long game is.
And of course, as soon as time was called, my theme song really should be You're Gonna Hear Me Roar, but I thought of that too late.
Aaron's theme song was Thunderstruck because that is the intro song for the Bison, and both him and his wife are NDSU alumni. So.
All right, we're going to knock it out of the park here. So Jacob is an interesting individual. His theme song is Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba because when you get knocked down and get back up again.
You can do finger snaps for everyone who shared. It took some bravery. Thank you, folks, for putting yourself out there. Oh my gosh, that made honestly, that was really refreshing and just fun to kind of hear everybody and their little like glimpses of personality pop through that other person. So that was pretty special. Can I have someone volunteer to kind of just share like a quick reflection on that or takeaway before we move on? Or thoughts, feelings?
That was the most engaging board education we've had in a while.
Oh God, I'm glad we're not done yet, but wait, there's more.
It's good to be students that are engaged.
Aw. Come on, little slideshow. But wait, there's more. Oh, that was my song. Let me go back. My song was The Sound of Sunshine. That would be my entrance theme. I forgot I put it on there. I'll play it for you.
Michael Franti.
I know.
Nice.
It's from Bethany Hamilton, Soul Surfer. That's where I heard it. It's good stuff. So why do we get to do that with our students in our classrooms? A couple of things. With question of the day, right, it builds classroom community, which is really important for engagement. Students need to feel comfortable, to feel brave enough to share and to participate and to put themselves out there like you folks all have, right? So teachers will intentionally do different questions of the day, right, to get students to feel comfortable, to have something to look forward to when they're coming in. So that's one of the reasons. And it also helps the teachers learn about the students a little bit more so they can cater different learning opportunities for them. Like there's so many things like hard rock, like even all like hearing what everyone's specialties are, like, oh, and I could think if I'm doing a biography unit on this person, I know Jamie really likes hard rock, right? Or class rock, sorry, class rock. So she might be, like, it can just help the teacher kind of get to know the student a little bit better to then provide even better opportunities for them to serve them engagement-wise.
Yeah, and if Rob's having a hard day, let's put on the Rocky theme song. Let's lift him right up.
I mean, we need this pick-me-up. And being able to turn and talk to someone in like a smaller setting can help students feel comfortable at first, and then they don't even have to like share what they said. They're sharing what their partner said, so it kind of can lower their guard of like, this isn't even what I'm saying, this is what my partner said. And so then it can help level the playing field and have all students sharing. And then lastly, precision partnering. I did figure out with Medora where everybody was seated. I know we had a little hiccup, but teachers do a lot of like planning behind the scenes to set up different partnering situations for all different types of engagement activities. Do you want to share a little bit more about that, Medora?
Yeah, so we can do precision partnering knowing that two kids, if we do this turn and talk, we know they're going to be comfortable talking to each other. We know they're going to feel open enough. We can also use precision partnering using their test scores. So, okay, we're going to have a partner to do this assignment. I know this person is like middle of the road reader. This student is a little bit lower reader. Let's put them together so they can work together, bounce ideas off of each other. Or we can put two high flyers together and they can go take over the world with each other as a partner.
So there's lots of different things teachers do kind of behind the scenes to set up these experiences for students that people may not even be aware of. Lastly, we're going to have a moment to kind of reflect on our learning targets for today. On your back page, you have a WILT, which is kind of just a time to think about what did I learn today? And the focus is being on what did I learn about what does engagement sound like and look like in the classroom. Then there's time to reflect on your own participation, because we ask our students to do this, right? It's a part of the accountability. Everyone does everything. We are holding each other to these expectations, so we're kind of reflecting on some of the learning today. So first, I'm going to give you guys some time to answer that first question, what did I learn today? And then glows and grows, right? What did you do really awesome with your participation today? And a grow. What do you want to do a little bit better next time when you have to participate or be in a whole group setting? So I'm going to give you guys some time to reflect on that.
take your time, but once you're done, if you want to put your pencil down, then we have a nice little physical signal.
All right, I want to make sure you gave everyone enough time. So typically, to end a lesson, teachers will give students either some sort of exit ticket to either recap their learning or reflection from that time. Teachers also have been adding in like reflections on participation, right? Part of their, oh, I'm blanking on behavior grades. Citizenship, that's where citizenship grades as well, right? Accountability, everyone does everything. And so then having students reflect on their participation and their behavior kind of helps them be aware and reflect on how was I participating and acting during this time period together. The last slide is really just time for questions, or if there's any comments folks want to share, time of reflection. If you want to share out anything that you learned or took away, that is also totally awesome. That's all I have for you today.
Does the board have any questions before they? Yep. Jamie?
Not so much a question, but just I really appreciated your whole thing today. It was very engaging for us board members as well, so it really shows what you do with our students every day. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for taking time and like asking and being curious about it. It was kind of fun when Adam and Mr. Knox asked. I was like, oh, like this is coming off of coaching cycles and all of that awesome stuff that I got to do. It was neat to just see, you know, all of the awesome things our teachers do. I'm like, yeah, this is great. I get to like talk about like all these ideas that all these teachers do. So thank you guys for being open and making time to hear about them.
Aaron, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just curious how this model or this framework works with the special needs kids and the English learners, the people, it's kind of the exceptions to the general population.
That's a good point. And because everyone does everything, but how can we access that for everyone? Because like you said, it might be different. So for some students, they might, if they are an EL learner, they might use their iPad. If there's some sort of question, the students are good about putting it into Google Translate, either to then share with a partner or to have it speak for them to participate, or the teacher might collect that. Or then in the special ed realm, it could be, I mean, depending on the different engagement type of strategy, you could have visuals or like one-on-one, hand over hand, like first we're gonna do this. And you can model it even more explicitly for them until it becomes comfortable, but before then you might do it before a whole group. So you kind of, it depends on your delivery based on the students you have and how you wanna roll it out with them. Does that kind of make sense? Or I can say more.
And this is when like that precision partnering can definitely come
That's a good
into.
point. Yeah.
You know, one student is comfortable using Google Translate with an EL student, or we know one student has just the empathy, the understanding to work with a special needs student. Obviously, we don't try and tire those students out by having to do that all the time, but that's when precision partnering can really help. Just ease them, getting them comfortable with it, seeing the model, and then keep pushing them to get out of their comfort zone even more and stuff too.
And maybe you don't even choose like this strategy. Like if it depends on the classroom in front of you, you could, you could do just a turn and talk. You could do a think, pair, share, where students have time to think on their own before they pair up and share. So I think you can choose like a different strategy for the different types of learners you might need. Yeah, you're welcome. Good question.
Any other questions? Well, thank you again. I think we got a good insight into some of the engagement that occurs every day in Jamestown Middle School and how our students feel a sense of belonging there. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Have a good rest of your night.
Thank you. Moving on our agenda, we have the superintendent's report. Dr. Luck.
I apologize. I will likely not be as engaging as your last agenda item. I wanted to start with the spotlight, and I'm not sure if she left already, but Christy Hansen is our spotlight for this report. Christy most recently has been selected to serve on a standards writing committee. That's a nominations process and application. And, I really appreciate our staff that are able to and are willing to participate in standards writing at the state level. We are standards-based, and it's really important that our teachers, North Dakota teachers, and our Jamestown teachers are the ones informing and creating those standards. And that takes a lot of work. It takes time away from classrooms. It takes a commitment to do. And our most recent one was Christy Hansen. And unfortunately was here, and she had to duck out, unfortunately. But just want to recognize her and the work that her and all of the teachers that we have that serve on standards writing committees at the state level do, because it is a significant amount of work, and I want to make sure that we recognize those people. I have in my written report, which you have, I outlined spring enrollment, and that was requested, and I did a little breakdown of where we're at as of the 1st of April. So it's a shade under 1,900 students. So about a decade ago, or 12, 13 years ago, that was around 2,165. And so you can see that decline in the terms of in enrollment. You can see some plateau levels here too. And you can see as bands of students have come, and you see those plateau levels at the high school, that's around 160-ish students at each of those grade levels. And that flows kind of down into 6, 7, 8, where you see that bubble too. We had a smaller band of around 130, and that was kind of a standard for a little bit. And then below that, you see around 115-ish. So if you can just follow that cohort model through, you see we are very top-heavy in terms of our enrollment. At the high school, it'll dip a little bit when our current middle school students get into high school, but we are fairly consistent now around that 115-ish for incoming kindergarten classes. So there is impact long-term. So we definitely don't want to think about our enrollment as just a one-year number. Think about how those plateaus kind of play their ways through. And as we have those budget realignment discussions that Aaron was talking about earlier, these are the types of data that we really need to be considerate of and plan around. The worst thing we could do is make short-term, one-year decisions because enrollment is, if not the primary variable that we need to plan around, it's certainly one of them. And so I think it's important to see, and we have a little bit of nostalgia sometimes around, we think we were what we were, right? And we can look at and say, well, Jamestown and Dickinson, when I was growing up in Dickinson, Jamestown and Dickinson were the same size. We had the same size schools. We were the same size communities. Well, we're certainly different than that now, and Dickinson's not a comparable for our community or our schools anymore. They are triple our size from a school district standpoint now. That's not a good comparable for us anymore, but it does give us a sense, like I said, to extend a little bit beyond nostalgia and to look at what we actually have for enrollment. Because like I said, if we aren't planning for what is coming, I think we're going to make the wrong short-term decisions. I didn't plan this, but we had student engagement results came. We have a new test, and I bring this up. The North Dakota Student Engagement Survey is new this year, and I've included in the dashboard, I've included our scores We're going to report on them later, but you see how we compare to the state right now. But that's goal 3.1, and that's on the tab. And like I said, we'll talk about that in progress monitor a little bit. I think that comes up in June, I'm sorry, July. But just a reminder, two things. DSIC has already begun to look at this data and what does it tell us at a building level. We can talk about the aggregate and that, what happens at the district level, but really engagement comes down to the building level. And so we want to make sure our DSIC teams are looking at their building-specific data and then developing strategies around their building, not just at the district level. The second thing is just a reminder that this engagement survey is new this year, like I said, so it doesn't provide us the same historical data comparison that we've had in the past. So we can't just look at this data and say, well, in the past we had this score. It's not a great comparable anymore because it's a new assessment. So I'm just passing that along. I wanted to bring up support staff of the year. Like we had teacher of the year, the process is going to look the same. And actually, we were accepting nominations for support staff of the year through April 1st. And I believe we had 100 nominations for that, or at least it was right around that number. I didn't get a final count, but right around 100. And so we're going to go through that process again, and that will get whittled down, and eventually we'll have support staff of the year to recognize, just like we did with our two fantastic teachers of the year. So the next item I wanted to bring up is titled Path Forward. If you're familiar, in the last decade or so, we've had a couple different initiatives, and we've partnered in the community a few different times related to walkability and rideability to school. You're all from this community, so you know walkability in the community of Jamestown and rideability for bikes is a challenge. Not a lot of connected roadways or sidewalks. We ask kids in some areas of town might need to walk on the street or ride bike on the street. We don't have a great walkability in our community, and that's something we've struggled with and talked about as a community for much longer than I've been in Jamestown. But there's been a couple of different initiatives that we've taken on, and they've both been what's now called transportation alternative. In the past, it was called Safe Routes to School. And two projects that stick out to me. One is just what we did around the middle school to improve safety. Those are the bump outs, putting an island out in front of the middle school. We were seeing having safety concerns with students crossing, and especially during drop-off time. And the drop-off lane that we have on the south side, that's improved drop-offs for families and eliminated a lot of the double parking we were seeing on the west side. And that was a good initiative, and it certainly helped with safety. And that was funded through the district's commitment. That's part of what we have our special assessments for, pay for our portion of the safe routes of that particular safe routes to school. And the other was improving sidewalks around and by the CTC up to the high school, right outside of the CTC Center all the way through to track, and then the path that crosses between track and the high school. That was part of a transportation alternative grant that was written in this, funded the same way. And now another group is working. That group has, facilitated by Jamestown Parks and Rec. And Parks and Recs has been involved in all of these conversations that I've had, the other two that I've been involved with in the last decade. This one is working on a program they're calling Path Forward, and then I included that sheet, but also then a draft bike map that they're working through and kind of targeting the same idea. How do we improve and make it safer for kids to walk to school or ride bikes to school? And what are those things that we need to do collaboratively as a community? So I just wanted to bring forward the work of this group and appreciate the work that they've done already, and just a commitment to making sure that we have good and safe paths for students to walk and ride bikes to school. Related to, or similarly, a related issue is we've been working with the city of Jamestown on 7th Avenue, right outside of Roosevelt Elementary, like I talked about at the middle school. There's been some safety concerns over a period of time, double parking and kids walking across the street. And we've this year seen some safety concerns outside of Roosevelt Elementary on 7th Avenue Southeast. And so we're talking with them about what safety improvements could we do on the 2 crosswalks. So talking about bump outs and an island, and what can we do on the further south crosswalk as well, just to make sure that those pathways to and from school are as safe as possible. So there's probably going to be a little bit more information coming from that, because those are projects that we would need to go through special assessments to pay for. But when we're seeing consistent safety concerns, outside, and like I said, walking to and from school are things we need to really keep our fingers on, so make sure that we're addressing. I just shared a little bit, a couple different presentations. I presented along with another individual to the North Dakota Association of School Business Managers on planning for uncertainty and budgeting. I was also asked to serve or to present to the Hunt Institute. They have a Mayor's Leadership Fellowship. So it's mayors from across the country. They asked me to present on the challenges and opportunities with teacher compensation. So I'll be going to Durham, North Carolina on May 15th to present to that fellowship group. I've talked before, our MIT Day of AI. We had a process to get some nominations. So we had 17 students that were nominated. I tell you, they were all outstanding nominations. And it's one of those things where, not to be, hyperbolic, but you'd like to bring them all. You'd like to bring every kid that's nominated, but we did have to pick. And so from those 17 students, we asked them to apply. 10 of those 17 applied. And from those 10 applications, I looked at criteria of leadership, communication, curiosity, intellectual engagement, civic awareness, representation of JHS and North Dakota, and then reflection and impact and what they were hoping to achieve from being involved as a student senator in this Day of AI. And based on that criteria, selected Lena Hoffer and Owen Sorley, both juniors. And so they will be attending that opportunity with me in July, the July 17th through the 19th. And so we're going to be sending some social media out, make sure that they get some good recognition out on social media. I tell you, they're going to be great candidates, and I think they're going to learn a lot, and we're going to learn a lot from them because it's going to allow us to have a student perspective on AI that we can learn a little bit about from their needs and how they see artificial intelligence. And I think it's going to shape how we do our work as administrators and teachers, but it also is going to have some impact on policy development too. So I have great appreciation for them, and I'm looking forward to joining them at MIT. I think they're going to have us very busy for a couple of days, and I'm looking forward to it. The last thing that I had are some simulations for reduction in force non-renewals. And so I'm going to start this part of the conversation to say, or this part of the report to say, we are not planning to do non-renewals. That is not what we're intending to do. We've had a lot of conversations about budget realignments. So I want to make sure that the intent behind this is not preparing for non-renewals. We aren't preparing for non-renewals. There were questions across the state. Jamestown is not the only place that's seeing concerns with budgets. You've seen that in some very high media attention in some districts has been given to non-renewals and budget realignments. And we aren't in that position. I think we're looking at priorities as we are, and I think we're attacking the issue long term. But there were questions that came about from what's happening in other places. And I felt, rather than just try to make some assumptions or ask, just do a simple question answer for one question, I thought, well, maybe this is an opportunity for us. And I consider it stress testing our policy. So what I'm going to do is, and I've started this process already, our reduction in force policy has, 3 different areas, and I can share it with you it's policy DKA if you want to look at it. But it's really it's very defined. This is how reduction in force take place. But what I want to do is do a couple different simulations, do hypothetical situations. We're not going to use people's names or their reasonable facsimiles of them. We're going to just run a couple different scenarios with 7 different teachers in a high school department, 7 different teachers at an elementary level in a specific department, and run some hypothetical, how many years of experience, what are they doing in the district, what kind of leadership opportunities have they taken advantage of, and we'll just create some randomized hypothetical situations and run through reduction in force. If the board directed me to reduce one of those 7 individuals, what person would it be? Teacher A, Teacher E, Teacher B? And the purpose of it is just to engage in the conversation. It's, like I said, we're not preparing for anything, but I had questions about, well, how is this variable viewed, or how is that variable viewed? I would much rather be in front of that and have conversations about a hypothetical situation than try to deal with this when it's actually happening. And so, like I said, to me, it's about stress testing, and I'll do those simulations, then we'll bring it to communications committee, and we'll have a conversation about it. I'll share what I see with this and what questions we had at communications in a report to the board when I do it. I anticipate that happening probably in the next 6 weeks or so, but I think it's a good exercise for me. It's been about 20 years since I've done a reduction non-renewals. Policy was different in that district, obviously, than this district, but I think it's important to go through so everybody is as much clarity as possible around what could really be a challenging thing. If you haven't gone through non-renewals, I guess we have gone recently, not recently, but probably in the last 10 years, reduction in force in this district. But I think clarity, transparency is really as important as it can be in something like this. And I just want to make sure that everybody has a chance to have their questions answered and see how these variables play out in a hypothetical situation. So with that, I would stand for questions.
Owen.
Going back to the enrollment numbers, I had a question. In comparing these April 1st numbers to what we see on ND Insights, so the ND Insights for this year, that comes from fall enrollment, right?
Yeah.
So I was noticing in comparing those that the elementary and middle level are pretty stable, but there's a lot of movement at the high school level. And overall, we were down 29 students from a head count standpoint at the high school level. Could you walk me through kind of what might be happening there?
Well, some of that comes down to home education. Some of that comes to virtual instruction. What happens virtually, you have much more open options for virtual. The biggest difference we see comes actually in 9th grade, where families are choosing home education at the 9th grade level at a higher rate than what we've seen in the past. And so that's one indicator that we're seeing. But really, those are probably the 2 largest. Well, that and those students that choose to either transfer or make the choice to drop out. What I can say is we have seen great success at Blue Jay Academy with retention of students that in the past were dropping out, but our graduation rate is skyrocketing from Blue Jay Academy. And operating through that school within a school philosophy and with that particular program has really helped us retain a lot of those students. At the high school, one other area that related to alternative ed or with the Blue Jay Academy that you might see, I'm not sure that the numbers for ND Insights accounts for Blue Jay Academy. Okay. We combine them. Those might be separate in ND Insights. I'd have to look.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't want to jump to conclusions without understanding. But then on the other end of the spectrum too, I think, you can lose yourself in ND Insights and looking around at lots of data. Yeah. But we are asked a lot to look at these open enrollments and approve them. And I don't think we've had a chance to really look at the big picture on net open enrollments coming in and leaving, and especially at that pre-K level, looking around at some of these other school districts, looking at their pre-K population on ND Insights. Sure. It's a considerable chunk of their whole school district. And so wondering if we can get some better metrics on and I know Adam has said too that there's going to be more efforts in surveying those folks that are choosing to
Yep.
open enroll in other districts around us.
Yep.
So getting that type of information might help us.
Yeah.
It's just really focusing on both of those ends.
The most recent presentation for our demographer, and then I can bring that back up, it showed specifically the ins and outs, how many we were, we actually have a net plus, net positive. Most recently, we vacillated between, a loss and a gain for open enrollment over the years, although we've trended more towards net positives on open enrollments. But that's the most recent that you could look at if you look at that demography study.
Any other questions from the board? Jason, go ahead.
A question on the homeschool ninth grade. That's not, obviously that's not specific to JPS. We're seeing that. Are we seeing the ninth grade the biggest group like statewide? Or we don't know that, or you haven't looked?
I don't know statewide, but I will say that the ninth grade this year has been an outlier for us. Okay. More home education than what we've seen traditionally. I don't know the antecedent for that, or if it's just an outlier, if it's the beginning of a trend. But we have seen, I will say, the NDCDE virtual instruction, and now that we're buttoning that up a little bit at the state level, I think that's going to help quite a bit with that. But we do see that increase at the ninth grade level.
Other questions? All right. And if we look at those numbers, one thing that it did really stand out to me, if we look at the early grade levels versus the students that'll be graduating in the next 2 to 3 years, and just making sure that we are in front of that and making the right financial and planning and educational decisions to support the students that we have there. So, and thank you to the board for the work you're doing on that. Moving on, in our agenda, nothing under old business, under new business, nothing under activities, buildings, and grounds. Under curriculum assessment and instruction, we have approval of the 2026 summer school courses. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the 2026 summer school course.
Motion by Jason. Is there a second? Second by Jamie. I have a motion, a second for approval of the 2026 summer school courses. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? If not, assuming roll call vote, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Under finance, we have approval of the audit agreement, which is the same group that we've been going with for the last 2 years. Is there a motion? Motion by Aaron. Second by Melissa. We have a motion, a second for approval of the audit agreement. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? If not, assuming roll call vote, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Nothing under operations. Under personnel, approval of the 2026 summer school contracts. Is there a motion? Motion by Melissa. Second by Owen. We have a motion, a second for approval of the 2026 summer school contracts. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? If not, assuming roll call vote, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. B, approval of the 2026 to 27 support staff wage schedule. Is there a motion? Motion by Jamie. Is there a second? Second by Dan. We have a motion, a second for approval of 2026 to 2027 support staff wage schedule. Any discussion? Aaron covered this a bit in the finance report. Does anyone have, we looked at different scenarios and bringing forth a recommendation here. So any discussion? If not, assuming roll call vote, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. C, approval of the resignation of number 1, Medora Perlyberg. Is there a motion? Motion by Melissa. Is there a second? Second by Dan. We have motion and second for approval of the resignation of number 1, Medora Perleyberg. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? If not, assuming roll call vote, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried, and thank you for the service to our district. D, approval to hire for the 2026 to 2027 school year upon a successful background check and receipt of licensure. Number 1, Paul Wanzig. Is there a motion? Motion by Jason. Is there a second? Second by Jamie. I have a motion and a second for approval to hire for the 2026 to 2027 school year upon a successful background check and receipt of licensure. Number 1, Paul Wanzig. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? If not, assuming roll call vote, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion approved, and welcome to the district. Under policies and procedures, we have approval of board policies 1, 2, and 3. Is the board okay if we do them together? Is there any questions on them prior to moving forward with that? Okay. Number 1, amended policy DDBC, bereavement leave. Amended policy ACCA, sexual offender on school property. 3, first reading of ACCA-BR, criteria for granting parent offenders privileges to enter school property. Is there a motion? Motion by Aaron, second by Jason. We have a motion, a second for approval of board policies 1 through 3. Any discussion? Melissa, go ahead.
I just had a question on the criteria for granting parent offenders. Is that something that would then be parents of that school would be notified? Because I know, like, if there's a sex offender that moves even around town, that has to be disclosed. So how are we protecting our students with that?
So there's state law around how you address parent offenders. And so I meet with each parent sex offender. And some of those we hear through our SRO or oftentimes they make self-notifications. And so we meet and talk about procedures. It really depends on a lot of different factors, but generally speaking, there would be a check-in process. It's not notification for the school, it's notification for those in that are responsible for monitoring and ensuring safety in the building. So we make the notifications at the building employee level. We don't make the notifications to all.
Any other questions? We have a motion, a second for approval of board policies 1, 2, and 3. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? If not, assuming roll call vote, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. We have nothing under tuition or other items for future agenda. We did get a request for, in the future, we'll do a report on activities, things like enrollment opportunities, staffing at events, those kinds of things. Any other items for future agenda? Okay. If not, if you think of something, please, or want to hear more about something, let Dr. Luck and myself know. Under meetings to be scheduled, we have Monday, April 20th, 2026, school board member. So we are going to meet at the Arts Center and not here on Monday, April 20th. And we're going to get a tour of the culinary arts program and the investment that we've made in that and the partnership there. And we'll start the tour at 5 p.m. Then we're going to have a regular school board meeting at the Arts Center at 5:30. And it's hard to believe we're looking at graduations already, but we have Transition House graduation on Thursday, May 14th, 11 a.m. at the Transition House, and high school graduation Sunday, May 24th at 2:30 p.m. in the Civic Center. And Amy will be reaching out to get to see who's participating and attending those.
So just to note, the Transition House graduation is at in the Thompson Community Room. Yep.
Oh, okay. Thompson Community
Yep.
Room. Okay.
We
location
corrected it on the agenda that they're all looking at.
Okay.
Just the printed
Right,
copy
printed copy.
still
Okay.
says
So we'll
transition.
make sure.
So Thompson Community Room.
Yep. And it'll be on the school calendar as well, so, or the calendar of meetings. So any other, well, we're going to be scheduling a finance committee sometime in the next month. probably a couple weeks here. Yeah, I'm not sure if we'll hit it before then, depending on people's schedules, before the 20th, but we'll schedule that. Sometime strategic planning, I think probably May into June, just also recapping what the reports and where we're at, and see if we need to make any tweaks or changes to that. Anything else from the board that in any other committees that I might be missing?
Is
Yes.
there a GED graduation this year at all?
Well,
Or no?
We haven't had a notice yet.
okay.
I can ask, make sure we get
Yeah.
that information to you.
We'll check on that, so. And then, what other, health insurance must be coming up too eventually here, so just, there'll be a health insurance meeting typically on a Monday here in the next several weeks as well, so. Otherwise, is that it after committees? Okay. Next on our agenda, we have possible executive session to discuss negotiation strategies. Okay, all right. And then, no, there's no motion on that. Moving on, we have monthly superintendent evaluation, Section 1, goal and vision setting, and Section 4, curriculum and student support services. Please complete that. There being no further business before this board, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.